REKAP Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Take that.
Hey, welcome into another edition of Feldco Football Recap Live with Olin Kreutz and Tommy Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. We'll talk briefly about the Detroit game because it was so messed up at the end that I almost broke the remote on my TV. It is our Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric game breakdown. Bears lose 23-20 on Thanksgiving Day. I'm screaming like you guys, like a lunatic at my TV. Time out! Take a time out! What are you doing? And the Bears end up losing a game. Olin, I've never seen a more effed up ending in my life. Okay, a kick gets blocked, even a wacky helmet. The coach is looking like deer in headlights.
Yeah, and three games in a row where they're right there to beat every team in their division, right? And
Yep.
you know the offense only gets 2 first downs in the first half. I mean, it was a miserable performance by the offense in the first half. The defense keeps them in the game, and the play caller on defense is the head coach. And like you're saying, no matter what's going on, no matter what you think about the situation and all the penalties on the players and all the ways that you could defend somebody, everybody is yelling, you know, from my kids on the couch to my father-in-law was here for Thanksgiving. Take a timeout, right? Like my father-in-law sat there. I was running in to do the post-game show for the score, and he just kept looking at me like the game's not over. And I said, "Oh no, it is. It's a game." He couldn't believe, like Flues looked like he didn't think the game was over, right? And obviously Caleb not a great job situational awareness, Tom. But when you're the head guy, man, you have to notice all that. And you got to burn your timeout.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Olin. Like, look, maybe I'm being a little lenient on the quarterback. It's his rookie season. He had just been sacked on, I don't even know if you call it a sack because it was a quarterback draw that they had called. But regardless, you know, at that point, if it's Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, you would think that those guys, having played thousands of snaps in the NFL, that they would have had the alertness or the awareness to call the timeout themselves. But at that point, if you don't see the quarterback call the timeout, as the head coach, you have to now take charge. You have to be the one in control of the situation. And, you know, it's just, it's a foolish nightmare to see some of the ways that they have made mistakes and put themselves behind the 8 ball. Now, look, I think you mentioned it too, Olin. I don't dismiss some of the mistakes made by the players. The first half was just horrible offense. Even on that last drive, you had an offensive pass interference, the second one of the game on Cole. You had a hands to the face by Tevin Jenkins. Like, even as they were going down the field to try to kick the game-tying field goal, they were still self-sabotaging. So
we had a personal foul on Keenan Allen to start the drive.
Yes, exactly.
Right? He threw the ball at the referee.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, it's, you know, I mean, just the elementary stuff that a head coach of a National Football League team or even a high school football team would know that some of those things are on his, on his watch list. And it's been a tough watch this year, guys. It's been a frustrating watch.
Okay, so Olin, let me ask you a question. Tommy and I have talked about Cole Kmet. If you look back last year, Cole Kmet was pretty highly regarded on the Pro Football Focus numbers, if you put any stock into those. Jalen Johnson was the #1 cornerback. Tommy did all the research on Pro Football Focus. These guys, DJ Moore was highly regarded. all these guys are plummeting down the rankings. They have to assume some of the responsibility for the struggles of the team, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. Tom just mentioned it. The penalties, Cole Kmet he looks like he's a center out there running mesh routes. I don't know what he's doing, right? He's like breaking down and blocking guys, and whether they're offsides or even on the last play when they're trying to get the play off, him and DJ can't get lined up, right? DJ Moore can't get lined up. We just talked about Keenan Allen's personal foul. We talked about Tevin Jenkins getting run over in the middle of the line. All that is true, and they have sold well. The players, like we talk about, I talk about on the score. Mully says no one sells losing like the Bears. Well, the players, no one has sold. It's the coach's fault, like the players at Hallis Hall right now. They have sold that to us. That they let the details go. Remember, this goes all the way back to Shane Waldron in his first 15. This goes all the way back to that, where guys are talking about they didn't have the first 15 details, holding the young quarterback accountable. That was leaking out of that building early, right? They were going after the young quarterback. Some had to hold him accountable. Then it was Shane Waldron. He went. Then it was Coach Eberflus, right? Like we heard about Jalen Johnson blowing up in the locker room, which, to be honest, guys, that's not a big deal to me. I've seen that many times in my career, guys screaming and yelling after games. And usually we say, save that energy for the field. Right? Like, say that energy for on the football field. We could have used that energy on when it's 1st and 15 versus the Vikings and Jefferson beat you 1-on-1 for 20 yards. Something like that would be said right there, right? Challenge each other, get each other going. But these players have sold us on that. They've sold us on that Thomas Brown is the guy to fix all of this. They sold us that when Shea Waldron left, it was all going to get fixed. So here we go. There's a lot. I would say from outside looking in, guys, I don't know how you guys feel. From outside looking in, it looks like they don't have any leaders anywhere. They have no one that holds people accountable that says, look, that's enough. And I heard Thomas Brown say, we got to have family business be family business. It means we don't need to do all this talking that we've been doing. We'll see if it helps. But you're right, Cap. These players do hold accountability. Everybody in that building is on a 5-game losing streak. And that's the problem with buildings that lose. They don't think it has anything to do with them.
It's such
by the way, Olin, it's now 6.
Man,
it's brutal.
My gosh,
brutal.
I get lost in all the losing. I get lost in it.
I've said this a bunch. Like, we're smart guys. Maybe not the smartest guys on the planet, but we're adult enough that we can have two thoughts at the same time, right? Like, I can sit here and talk to you guys and say, this coaching staff did not deliver. They are making catastrophic mistakes. They haven't fulfilled the requirement for their jobs, without ignoring that the players have also not done what they're supposed to do. And the only reason why I referenced before the show began was Pro Football Focus is, look, to me, analytics are analytics. They're just a tool in the toolbox. They're not the only tool for me. But the eye test will always be, to me, the best test of all. But, as you look at the evaluation of some of the players, I'm asking myself as, I'm watching this team struggle, the coaches struggle, and the performance be what it is. I said to myself this morning, I wonder how some of these guys are grading on Pro Football Focus, just one metric. And Jalen Johnson was, and I love Jalen, and I'm glad he's on my football team. I'm not suggesting that he shouldn't be. Jalen was the highest rated cornerback in the league last year, had a 90+ rating. Jalen ranks like mid-30s this year. Like, so you look at Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, I believe, is the 25th ranked tight end on Pro Football Focus. DJ Moore is mid-30s. And I'm not trying to throw these guys under the bus, because I think they're all valuable members of your team. But their performance has dropped. And I think the eye test would tell you that the Pro Football Focus numbers that I just recited are just confirmation of what my eyes are telling you. So then you ask yourself, are we going to blame their dip in performance solely on the inadequacies of a coaching staff? Like, really? Or is that what we're going to do? Or are we going to actually wrap our arms around this and say, look, we're all culpable here? And that's how I feel about the situation. I think the coaching staff I thought the coaching change should have been made at the end of last year. Didn't happen. I understand why they made the change. But I think in some ways that some of the players' performances, they're getting an easy route right now. And my hope going forward in the final 5 games is these guys, they got what they want. Coaches are gone. Now I would expect them to progress to the mean based on what their expectation level is for their performance.
Yeah, after they ended up on that I think they were in the 25-yard line. They're well within Santos's range.
Yeah.
And all those mistakes by the players, they're lucky their coach didn't take that timeout. Right? They're lucky because there would have been a lot of talk about the guards' hands getting run over, but Aline McNeil running them over, Cole Komet's penalties. They would have taken the sack. There would have been a lot of talk about what was going on. Even the play calling by Thomas Brown was not great there, guys, late in the game. 50-yard line, he's calling 8-man protection, play action pass with DJ Moore running the orbit motion reverse. Your best receiver running the orbit motion reverse. Fascinating to me, man. Think about that draw he ran is the same play he started overtime with against the Vikings. He ran quarterback draw, and Caleb got hit hard in that game, and he was discombobulated. Again, you ran a quarterback draw with the third string right tackle. He did make a mental mistake, but let me explain to you this about Larry Borum. Okay, let's go through a third string right tackle. If Curran is the backup right tackle and Darnell Wright gets hurt, you know how many reps Larry Borum got at quarterback draw at right tackle last week?
Zippo.
Zero reps at it, right? He's thinking, hey, we all got to know our playbook. We're all professionals. I understand that. But 2 weeks in a row, you went right back to the same play. If you're Thomas Brown, you went right back to the well of quarterback draw. It didn't work against Minnesota. It doesn't work again. And like we're talking about, and Thomas Brown said that. He said, I take some responsibility for that end of the game debacle we had. But so, yes, they're all involved in this. You don't lose 6 games, as Cap pointed out, because it's just the head coach has a lot to do with it. But to get this thing turned around, man, at some point, I'm starting to wonder, guys, did they just put the wrong guys in the building? In the building, period. Or is there just the wrong people? Everyone in there is wrong for that building.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Veteran players. Who should have, if Eberflus freezes, deer in the headlights, whatever it is, doesn't call the timeout, yes, I would think a veteran quarterback would have gone timeout. With it being a rookie, he said, hey, man, I only run what they tell me. And at the end, I saw the clock, so I changed the play and went deep to try and get touchdown because he knew the clock was going to run out. Who, if Eberflus doesn't, do you, Olin, call a timeout? Do you, Tommy, as a veteran, go, hey, guys, timeout?
I would think Olin would be more equipped to do that than me. You know, I was going to say, if you were going to ask me the question, who I would say that's something Hilge would have done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not me playing.
It's something I was going to say the guys with the C's on their chest.
Yeah.
Right, the captains.
Yeah.
It's something that the captains could do, but that's the interesting thing about this team that we've talked about many a times, that in the locker room, there isn't guys who've been here for 8 to 10 years who've won a lot of football games. Right? Situational football wins football games. You don't obviously expect a young quarterback, and he has not been good, right? Like, and we talked about the special. He has done the special, but he has not been good lately in special situations, critical, taking sacks, took a 10-second sack against Minnesota, took the sack last week, didn't realize that the things he said after the game confused me, right? Like, well, I changed the play. Well, all I could do is run the play call, but then I changed the route. That's 2 different things there, young man, right? Well, I changed the route, but then I changed it because I realized we had to go to the end zone because we didn't have enough time. Well, you had a timeout. So a lot of these things confuse me when I hear, like you guys know, I turn when stuff like this happen, I turn the sound off and I turn the film on and I just watch it. And I just tell you exactly what I see on that film. And that's exactly what I saw on that last drive. A lot of penalties by the players, some bad play calling, and then a quarterback who had no situational awareness at the end of the game. And then I could see the coach on the sideline, and I'm thinking to myself, why didn't he call the timeout? Yeah. Right? So because Coleman Shelton going to call the timeout, your league minimum center, his first year there? No, probably not. Right? So Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, the guy who loves to tell you he's a leader, Cole Komet, you know, maybe they could take a timeout there at some point there on the field. But guys, I mean, at that moment, I can't take anything off Coach Eberflus. He's got to burn his timeout.
I would say too, Olin, I would ask you this question. How odd is it when you put this leadership council together at the beginning of the year, there's not a single offensive lineman or defensive lineman on that leadership council? What does that say to you?
A lot. a lot because these positions, Tommy, as you know, you're in a room with wide receivers and cornerbacks. Like, I'm not shocked when these guys talk. That's how wide receivers and cornerbacks are, right? They're a little bit of a different breed than O linemen, D linemen, linebackers, quarterbacks. Little different breed. Running backs even a little less than a wide receiver and a defensive back. So it was strange to me. It's like Darnell Wright wasn't a captain, right? Or someone like that. I'm sure they wanted it to be Nate Davis. And then we go back to the plan again, right? They wanted like a guy to be a leader, your older offensive lineman. Well, that didn't work out, right? Or I honestly think it should have been Billings. I think Billings should have been a captain. He got injured. You know, a guy like that, a guy who's doing the dirty work every day, who's a team guy, holding guys off linebackers, somebody on those two lines who can walk in and say, look, man, like everyone needs to shut up.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this question. And again, Bears lose 23-20. We know how it melted down. Eberflus gets fired on Friday morning after they let him do it.
You got somebody trying to get on camera behind you.
Yeah, it's my guy, Ryan.
All right, man. Tell him if he wants to get on camera, just get on camera. You know what I mean?
Come on.
That's why the Bears are losing right there. That's a culture problem you got over there at that place.
Lack of discipline in the office.
Lack of discipline, details. Yeah. That's a culture problem, man.
Wow. Okay, so we hear, they lose. It's another tough loss. Eberflus does a Zoom at 9 o'clock that we carry on my radio show. And then 30 minutes later, they call him in. You're fired. Get out. And nothing they do surprises me. And you guys were there. But I'm like, what in the F is going on around there? And then I hear, like, the Jets said, we're going to get Mike Tannenbaum, whether you like him or not. He was a GM for two different teams. We're going to get Rick Spielman, whether you like him or not. He was a GM for two different teams. Like, those are football guys. We're going to have, and I don't know her. She may be a lovely person. I have no idea. We're going to have Tanisha Wade and George and whoever the hell else on a committee. Why? And I saw your tweet today about this, Olin. I said to Tommy, I thought it was priceless. Why would you not say, Ryan, you're the GM. Bring me your three finalists, and then George and Kevin can meet them as my bosses, but you're the guy running the search. And guess what? If you F it up and hire the wrong guy, you're fired. Why is that? Why are the Bears so ridiculous?
I was sitting in my gym, and I just kept thinking, as the morning went on, I thought, nothing's going to surprise me today. Nothing at all. Nothing they did. And they even topped that. I didn't think they would let the guy come out there. I said, well, I guess they're keeping Eberflus. And then I think my daughter told somebody, she was like, I just came through my phone, Eberflus got fired. And I was like, there's no possibility of this, right? But like you're saying, Cap, if he decides to keep the young general manager, right, who's had a tough year this year, let him do his job, right? Don't come out there and tell me that we're going to talk about the head coach. And Kevin Warren did a lot of talking that day. Way too much for me. These are football problems. I want to hear from the guy who put together the football side of the building. And if you think he's getting better, you guys have probably Googled this. You guys covered this. Same thing they said about Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. It's the same thing they told us, that we think these guys are learning from their mistakes. That doesn't mean Poles is them. But if you're going to keep him, I want to hear from him about Shane Waldron. I want to hear from him about Coach Eberflus. I don't want to hear, we're not living in the past. That takes energy from me, and I can't wash my car at 6 a.m. anywhere with the chamois and all this kind of stuff that he's talking about, right? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear from the guy who's going to hire, and I don't want to hear that you and him are going to talk about it, right? I don't want to hear that from Kevin Warren. I want Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham to decide who's going to be the head coach at Hallis Hall.
It's all disturbing to me.
So well said.
There were some people that weren't bothered by the fact that you allowed. Let's just walk through the timeline here. And the reason why I say it is because it's just symbolic of how you do business.
And by the way, Tommy and Olin, at 8:20, we were supposed to interview Thomas Brown.
Right.
And we get a call at 8:05 from our boss, and he says, yeah, that's been canceled. Like, well, what?
First of all, the meeting, Kevin Warren looked like, he looked like he was ready to move forward. Ryan Poles looked like he was in a hostage video. Like that the visual was just.
He looked like Rick Hahn at the Tony La Russa press
Like
conference.
a hostage video, and it just, you go back to the Friday, and look, this is 2024. The NFL is a $20 billion industry. You work on Thanksgiving. Like, that's just, everyone works on Thanksgiving. So if you knew that you were, or at the very least, were going to meet about making a coaching change, if you don't want to do it on Thanksgiving evening, 6 a.m. meeting at Hallis Hall in the morning, or what you do is you say, hey, we're going to have a meeting. We're not going to let Matt Eberflus go to the Zoom interview. We're going to push that off until, just tell it. And their response to that suggestion would be, well, that would have given you the impression, or given people the impression that something was up.
So
well, fucking something was up. Like, I mean, it's just, seriously, something was up. So first of all, I think it's the wrong way to handle your business with regard to your head coach, who deserved to go. Don't get me wrong, but it's also symbolic of your organization. How in the world is your meeting at the same time as your scheduled Zoom call is with your coach? That meeting should have been held at 6 a.m. at Hallis Hall. They should have come to the conclusion that they were going to come to, and they should have met the media. And by the way, when Kevin and Ryan met the media, to have a limited amount of access to the press, to me, was minor league. Like, you have to let people ask the questions that Olin talked about. You can't just limit this. It's like, who hired Shane Waldron? Whose decision is this? Why should people be confident that you guys are going to get it right? Whose decision was this finally? Was it George's decision? Was it Kevin's decision? Was it Ryan's decision? Like, for people to say, well, it wasn't that big of a deal, everybody handles their business. No, like, guys that are going to have options, whether it's Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel or whoever it is, this shit resonates with them because they have to make a decision. Am I joining a franchise that is going to do business the correct way? And if this is how they present themselves in crucial moments, how is it on a daily basis? I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like, I think everything you do reflects on you. Every single thing you do is a reflection on who you are and how you do things.
Yeah, and they don't seem to believe that. They really don't. And then Kevin Warren decided that he was going to tell us how it was a good thing, the way they handled that. And he's been around where coaches didn't know, and it just was. It was. The last time they did this, it was on Zoom, and George was saying that you can't trust a word that comes out of my mouth. So I mean, it's just they try to top each other all the time, and it's crazy. It's just when you go through that, when you watch them do that again, you think to yourself, they haven't learned anything.
No,
right? They haven't learned that this is what equals losing, right? The way everyone in the building does their job. Like that's what no one in the building seems to believe, that they're all on a run of 6 losses in a row, all of them, right? Everybody in that building is losing right now, and it doesn't seem like they feel that way, right? It doesn't seem like they think it was just either first it was Waldron's fault, and we joked on this show about it's Shane Waldron's fault. Everything was Shane Waldron's fault. Now it's Coach Eberflus's fault, right? And it's just kind of the players seem to be running the building. They seem to be getting anything they want. Right, they seem to be moving in that direction where now we're all convinced, man, Coach Eberflus was just that bad. And but I swear, the guy everyone's talking about, Ben Johnson, I swear Coach Eberflus shut him down in the second half. Yeah. I swear he's the only reason you were in that game, right? Johnson threw the ball 8 out of 9 plays when he was trying to put the game away, which is just crazy to me. When I was watching, I thought to myself, I almost X'd him off my coaching list. I was like, nah, not him. After I was watching Eberflus put a show on him, shut him down. Right. So here's the thing. Coach Eberflus needed to go because of game management situations. There's no doubt about that. He was the best coach on your staff. You didn't get better that day. You got rid of Coach Eberflus. He was the best schematic coach on your staff. He was the best coordinator on your staff, and now he's gone. But listen, you have to, because the way he managed games as a head coach. But it's just funny to me to hear things that come out of that building after everyone leaves, and it doesn't seem like anyone there thinks they're the problem.
It was so well said.
It was so crazy that, look, I've admired what Ben Johnson has done at times as well. This is his third year calling plays. He's got the best line in football. He's got a good group of skill guys in his huddle as well. He kept the Bears in the game. Like, you're right, Olin. Like the defense did their job. They ran it 21 times for 145 yards in the first half. They ran it 11 times for 51 yards in the second half. Like, why Ben Johnson stopped running the football, I have no idea. Why Aaron Glenn decided that with a decimated secondary and a decimated defense, the best way to defend this Bears offense was to play massive man coverage was crazy to me. Like, and I really like the job that the coaches have done in Detroit. I thought they had a worse day than the Bears coaches.
Big time.
Until the end of the game.
Started with that reverse to Panay Sewell.
Yes.
What the hell? Man, if you what a kick in the Bears' face right there, right? Move the ball down the field and run a reverse pass to your right tackle. Great. That was crazy to me, man. I mean, I'm sure that pissed the Bears off too. But here we are. The head coach is fired, and we're moving on to a guy who was the pass game coordinator, and Eric Washington gets elevated, and we'll see, what happens as we move on. But again, the Bears just can't even do that the right way. So you just kind of worry about them. Every time you look at them, every time you look what they're doing, you just worry a little more.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. I mentioned that the Commanders used Rick Spielman to help them pick Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. By the way, Dan Quinn, the guy that the Bears brought in as one of the 3 finalists when Eberflus got the job, and flew him not only in coach, but in a middle seat in the back of the plane. That's how they do business at Hallis Hall. And I'm supposed to believe they're going to go make a bid on Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Ben Johnson. Oh, please. Don't make me sick. Here's my other question. As you look at Thomas Brown, and I hear all these people say, well, if he goes 4-1, he should get the job. There is no world in my world that I'm entrusting the greatest quarterback prospect as a rookie that I've had to a guy who's never done it. Not going to happen. He was an OC for 1 year in Carolina. He's gone from passing game coordinator, where Caleb said, I didn't really interact with him, to the OC. He's the head coach. He'll be in charge of building the goddamn stadium in January. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. It's amazing.
I think the best thing, listen, I think the best thing Thomas has done is I will say that when I look at the offense, I know that both he and Waldron were from the McVay tree. I think what you've seen the last 3 weeks is more McVay than what it was with Waldron. You see more tight, formations. You see more motion. You see more stuff that reminds me of the Rams. With that said, guys, they scored 19 points against the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers should have scored 30. If not for Matt LaFleur being brain dead and going for it on 4th and goal from the 6-yard line with the league's worst red zone offense versus the league's best red zone defense, and without Jordan Love throwing an unforced error mistake, the Packers scored 30 points in that game. But regardless, they scored 19. The following week against the Minnesota Vikings, they were down 24-10 with a minute to go in the third quarter. They had scored 16 points until the 155 mark of the game. They were shut out in the first half of the Detroit game. They had 38, I believe, net yards. Like, I'm not shitting on Thomas at all. It's a difficult spot he finds himself in. But I look at what they've done to improve. And to me, it's more about the quarterback is getting rid of the ball quick when he does. He's going 1-2-3 throw or 1-2-3 tucking and running. I don't see that they have mechanically changed things to the point where they're out scheming people. So I think that we are living now in the anybody but Shane world, like ABS, anyone but Shane, could hang the moon. So look, I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't think that they've magically solved all their offensive issues in the last 3 weeks. I don't look at it that way.
Olin, let me ask you a question. The Lions, and I just read a good article about it where they said Sheila Ford Hamp took over from the grandfather to the father to the mom. She's now running things, and she hired Chris Spielman to be part of her special assistant, something. And she said, we need a throwback player to help us make the right picks. And they end up getting Brad Holmes. They get Dan Campbell. And now here they have the best team maybe in the NFL. If the Bears came to you and said, help us here, can one man be a culture changer, or is it no, the whole building has to be fixed?
Yeah, the whole building would have to be fixed, right? You would have to start hiring the people that matched your vision of what you want, what you thought, how you want the Bears team to look, and the culture you want in that building is who you would hire to run the football team, to run it, guys, the weight room, right? The equipment staff, the training room, the guys who get the players healthy, the guys who feed the players, the grass guys, everyone affects the culture in your building when you're moving in the right direction. So yes, you start with Dan Campbell, the Lions did. They started with Spielman, throwback player. There's great stories about him in the weight room and throwing up. And I was here. Obviously, Rick Spielman is the guy who came after me a couple of times and got me my contract. So I know the Spielman and the stories of the Spielman brothers and the kind of guys they are. And they are those kind of football guys. But, Cap, like we talked about earlier, they have a guy hired in the building who is the football guy. He's the head of football in there. Like you're saying, Rick Spielman, them are former general manager. You have a general manager, right? Now, if Ryan Post called and wanted like advice on it, sure, Tom would say yes. We all would say yes. Yeah. I'd love to sit in there and tell you what I think would win for the Chicago Bears, but I'm sure he hears our shows when I tell him to draft offensive linemen, right? When I tell him, like, in your draft, stop taking damn cornerbacks. I'm sure he hears us talking sometimes. So, the exchange of ideas and the vision that you would have, you would love to any former player would love to share with them what they think. We all love football. We all feel this way. We're all passionate about the sport. We all are passionate about the Chicago Bears. We're all sick of seeing them losing. Everyone's sick of it, right? Like I have these thoughts. Everyone knows how I feel. I'm a little old school, right? Like when Eberflus is cutting his hair, I'm out, right? Like that's where it goes back to that for me. Right. And as crazy as that sounds, that's the way I feel about it. Right. When Thomas Brown tells me he gets offered the head coaching job, and the first thing he does is ask to go home, I get worried. I get worried when I hear things like that. Why do you got to go home? If I got the head coaching job, I'm never leaving the office. Right. I got to go see my family. I haven't seen them in a month and a half. The plane goes both ways. It does. The plane goes both ways. Right. That's all I'm saying. So I get a little worried when I hear things like this. I am old school, but what I'm saying is somebody in that building doesn't seem like they approach it that way. Doesn't seem like they approach every day that way, where they're asking those hard questions of everybody. Seems like it's all like, well, the players want this. Well, someone's got to tell them, I don't care what you want. I really don't. I want you to make that play. Right? I want you, the training room guy, I want to know why Tevin Jenkins is getting run over by Lee McNeil. Why don't you tell me that? Why can't he sit down a bull rush at 330 pounds? Someone needs to explain that to me if I'm in the building, if you're helping them analyze their football team. Those are the questions they got to ask. That really is, Tom, that's winning in football.
Look, I'm 57 years old. I'll be 58 in February, and I just felt like I could go. My helmet's over there. I'd go strap it on and play for Olin Kreutz right now.
Same here. That's all I keep telling him that.
I get the same shoulder pads. Wait a second. I'm gonna go get these and show these to you.
Oh my. Wait till you see these, Olin. They look like he bought them at Target.
The hits he used to take too, Cap. I mean, in those pads, crazy, man.
Look at these things.
Like, what is that? That's not pads.
That's all I wore, man. You know why? Because I was faster in them.
No doubt.
No, I wasn't. I was never fast. But the point I'm making is like that. Like Olin's passion is it's infectious, and it's what an organization needs. Like, it's something that I think resonates with players, old, new, current. I just, something's missing up there. It really is. Something's missing, and I think we all recognize that. I hope they ask you, Olin, to go up there and consult with them and give them some direction. My guess is they don't want to hear it because, sometimes the truth is really difficult to consume. It really is. And right now, I think that, they think that they're going to talk their way out of the mess that they find themselves in. And as much as I love this organization, I have very little confidence that this time they're going to get it right. Sorry about those pads too. That was awesome.
They're awesome. Those are awesome, man.
That was awesome. All right, John Feeney says Mrs. McCaskey fired her son Michael, rest in peace, for screwing up the Bears coaching ops. When will she or the family fire George and hand it off to Brian or the next generation of the family or minority ownership to be the chairman?
It's just interesting right now, right? They're on such a run of losing and not winning playoff games and not even being, I think they've been in 2 since 2010. It's just so long that they've been going through this, and it just seems like it just keeps repeating itself. And it, like you're saying, Cap, at some point, when do they say, okay, like Tom said last year, man, I mean, it just seemed like Jim Harbaugh seemed like a no-brainer for everybody, right? And then, Sean Payton's down there in Denver with a young quarterback. He's a hell of a ball coach. It just seems like they need somebody in there to come in there, like we keep saying, a football guy. Cap, I heard you talk about Bill Belichick. I mean, you got to interview all these guys, right? You got to see who offers you the best opportunity to, and it's almost like talked about with the Seinfeld show where George decides he's going to do everything opposite of what he thinks, and it starts working for him, right? It's almost like the McCaskeys have to do that. They have to be like, whatever we think, whatever we decide in this meeting, let's do the opposite.
Yeah, look, I think the dynamic is different now than it was back then. I don't think, God bless Virginia, I don't think that, now's the time that she would step forward and make the change. So, I don't know what the destiny is going forward, but right now I'm not real confident.
By the way, the comment on the screen from Camel Toe Inspector.
Somebody has to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Olin Kreutz, I still wear.
Now, does he do that while he's inspecting camel toes? Does he wear my jersey? It might get me in trouble.
I mean, that was just tremendous. I still wear your authentic Reebok jersey. Wow. Here is our Chevy.
It's been like you're almost like detached from it, right? Like the other day I looked, I don't remember the exact numbers. I added it up.
You called me about it.
Yeah, I was at like 99 losses and like 50 wins, like at 40. I talked about because I thought about at the end of the game, like why was I just didn't even want to talk about it, right? Like why did I didn't even feel like I do? Because it just feels like I swear we were just doing this 3 years ago, right? We were just doing these conversations 3 years ago. And
here we are again.
Here we are again, man. And I think they asked George 3 years ago, would you ever consider hiring guys outside the building? I think his answer was, I don't want to. If you're doing work in the media, it's like he didn't want to risk our jobs or whatever he said, conflict of interest, or it was just some answer that they could use just people who understand their history and like. I'm on the radio a lot, so people say my name, but there's people around the Bears. There's a lot of players that they could say, like, what do you honestly think about what we're doing up here, man? What do you honestly feel about these decisions we're making up here? Guys who understand the history of the way the Chicago Bears play football, of how they draft, of what went wrong in this town, and how hard the media is on anybody, any head coach, especially head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback. In this town is a different set of rules than most places in the NFL.
And even Cap, if they're not willing to hire that person full time, how about bringing in a group, whoever it is? I mean, it's Olin, it's Tom Thayer, it's Jay Hilgenberg, it's Gary Fensick, it's Richard, whoever it is. Like at this point, aren't you interested in turning over every possible rock you can to try to find a different path than the one that has led you to consistent failure? Like, I'm not suggesting that anybody who's played has the answer for all of it, but why not tap into some of the experience and some of the people that have passion for not just this sport, but for this franchise, and just pick some brains and have a conversation. Maybe, for 2 days, let's meet it from 9 to noon, and then we'll regroup it from 1 to 4, and we'll do this for a couple of days and see if we can come to, and I know it probably sounds corny to somebody, but the way that they've done shit to this point, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked.
100%.
You can't constantly lean on your history. Look, I feel blessed and honored to have played for the Charter franchise. The fact of the matter is they've won one championship in the modern era. Like with all due respect, what Coach Hallis did, none of us were alive back then. I was born in 67. Like prior to 85, what was their last championship? 63?
Yes.
So all of that history is great in the annals of the National Football League, but it doesn't resonate with anyone in the modern NFL universe. So just constantly saying, hey, we're the Charter franchise and we have great history, it doesn't mean that you're going to find your way out of this morass. And I'd be accessing whatever information and whatever, contacts and communication I could at this point.
All right, here's
real fast to
Go ahead.
Cap's point, right? Like the NFL is always been a copycat league.
Yeah.
And people used to say that was crazy when you talked about getting a football guy in the building to oversee everything and make decisions. The head of your division just did it, and it worked. So I mean, if it is a copycat league, everyone, when we went to the young offensive minded coach, everyone's doing it, right? The number one team in your division, that's what they did. What we used to say, the Lions are going to line. That means the Lions are going to beat themselves. Guess what they're saying now? The Bears are going to Bears. Guaranteed. Let them beat themselves. Just don't get in their way. They'll beat themselves.
Our Chevy drive of the game is, unfortunately, final drive, 12 plays, 58 yards, took 331. No points. Game over. See you later, Matt Eberflus. You're done. And that is the Chevy drive of the game. Chevy is the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Quick timeout. We'll come right back. More fun, frivolity, and football insights from Tommy and Olin next.
Our Midwestern winters bring the toughest elements. Let the experts at Feldco keep your home and your family warm, safe, and comfortable this winter. Right now, get 30% off windows, siding, doors, and roofing. Plus, no interest for 1 year. With high-quality, American-made products built specifically for Midwestern weather, Feldco's got you covered. 30% off ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. When you're on the Tollway, peace of mind is just a call away. With the Illinois Tollway Star 999 service, help is always at your fingertips. Whether it's a flat tire or an unexpected breakdown, our dedicated team is here to assist you anytime and anywhere on the Tollway. Drive with confidence knowing that Star 999 is just a dial away. Remember, Star 999, we're always there when you need.
All right, our special teams play of the game brought to you by the great people at Special Olympics Illinois. It is the field goal that never happened. Should have had a field goal attempt to tie the game. And again, the Bears self-destruct. And in its wake, you lose your head coach. Your OC becomes the interim head coach. Next stop for him, team president, I'm sure, by January. Special Olympics Illinois. Voices tell us you can't or you won't. We simply say, I did. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Caleb Williams numbers. Caleb Williams winging it. Brought to you by Hooters. 20 of 39, 256 yards, and 3 second-half touchdowns. And he sets the all-time rookie record of consecutive passes, well over 200, without an interception. So why don't you guys give me your thoughts about Caleb Williams' performance, the non-timeout that he didn't take at the end, notwithstanding. What did you guys think of Caleb?
Same, man. I was impressed. I'm just impressed by the young quarterback and his talent. And when he gets going, how I think to myself, when I watch the Lions game, I don't know how many times, or the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers, I don't know how many times I thought to myself, man, at the end of the game, I'd rather have our quarterback. Like
Yeah.
there was a time in the Lions game, I was like, they can't stop him. Like they cannot. I mean, that fade, Tommy knows better than me. That route, DJ Moore ran an amazing route, and they were decimated. But the ball he threw, I don't know if you guys saw the way his feet ended up after he threw it. Like he almost did the splits, and he still put it on the money, man. I mean, Keenan Allen, well, again, was an artist on some of those routes he ran, but there's a point when Caleb gets hot and starts running down the field, and he has enough speed, and he can outrun guys and get out of that pocket and make throws. And there was the one, Tom, he ran and like realized where the line of scrimmage was, and he dropped back in. Man, that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. So you end up always leaving right now because you can say for every mistake he makes, well, he's a young quarterback. He'll learn to get better. He'll learn to fix those mistakes he made. But as far as potential talent, some of the things he's doing, the numbers he's putting up, man, you can't be nothing but excited about this young quarterback.
Yeah, like it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that it's perfect. The first half was garbage for all of them. He missed some throws. He missed a couple reads. But there are things that he does that there hasn't been a quarterback that I've seen in a Bears uniform that can do some of the things he does. He extends plays. He has learned too, I think one of the things that has kind of harbored or has been the hallmark of a lot of what his improvement has been is he knows when to kind of tuck and go with the ball, but not try and play hero ball, not like to run around in circles and try to find someone. If it's 1, 2, 3 balls out, or 1, 2, 3 tuck and run with purpose and get as much yardage as you can, they have found themselves, because they are the masters of negative plays, they've found themselves in second and long quite a bit. He turns 2nd and 13 into 3rd and 3 quite often. And that means you're now in makeable third down territory. And that's why their third down efficiency has gone way up. It's because he's been able to take second and forever and turn it into 3rd and short. And there's some throws that he can make. Like there was I think the first drive of the second half, they found themselves in 3rd and long. He climbs the pocket, finds a way to get out of the rush, and finds Keenan Allen, who just breaks off his route, and they're in scramble drill, and converts 3rd and 13. And now the drive's still. Olin mentioned the one where he's pressured again, finds a way to get out, drops a little pop pass over the top to DJ Moore. It's first down. Like he's doing some shit that's really, really impressive. And Olin, the point you made about the throw to DJ, like this is why I didn't understand what Aaron Glenn was doing. Like you went to a boatload of man coverage. You've got Branch, who's a really good safety in man coverage, but 5 yards off of DJ. DJ gets a free release with the safety in the middle of the field. Like I know where the ball's going from the instant the ball snapped. He gets inside and just runs upfield, just unfettered. And Caleb makes a beautiful throw. Like you said, Olin, like he was almost doing the splits because the pressure hit him in his shins. But to have the accuracy to hit that shot with the pressure that he was feeling, like the kid can do some special stuff. He really can. Not a finished product, but like I think he's been their most impressive player. There have been stretches where it doesn't look good, but over the course of the entire season, I think he's been their most impressive guy.
Oh, and play of the game, like I thought you could go a number of ways. The throw to DJ you guys talked about, outstanding. I chose the Tyreek Stevenson, Dr. Pepper play game when he drilled Jahmyr Gibbs, because if he can get that no fumble there, they're going to score, and the game's probably over in blowout fashion. Tyreek's had a bad year, but I thought that was a hell of a play by him. By the way, Dr. Pepper, play of the game, an American original, just like our Bears. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at McDonald's near you. Do you agree with me on that, or you'd have gone somewhere else?
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I thought that was a huge play. I thought the game's over if the guy, and Gibbs, I mean, gosh, man, I mean, it looked like it was a great play call. Like they were going to score, and we were all going to go eat Thanksgiving dinner early and just call it a day, right? Why even watch this football game? They're playing a team that they're I mean, I think they were favored by 10 or 12. There's no way the Bears can beat them. And then he makes that play. It keeps them in the game, right? And it's a hustle play by a guy. And also, he drew a personal foul, right? And I thought about that Gardner Johnson for the Saints. I thought if Tyreek Stevenson can kind of mold himself into that kind of player, be more of the irritant than the guy who gets irritated, right? Irritate people, get guys throw balls at you. Remember, I forget what Bears Wims, I think, punched that Chauncey Gardner Johnson guy. But the Bears are just an interesting team, man, because the young quarterback looks good. The defense is 9th ranked in the league. They're giving up 20 points a game. They're plus 10 in turnover differential. And then you look up at their record and you're wondering what the hell happened. It's just situational football. They just couldn't get it right under that head coach. But great play by Tyree Stevenson. I do like your pick, Cap.
Their red zone defense has been in some ways remarkable. I think that they were number one. I don't know if they're still number one, but you guys realize in the last 3 games, the opponents, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions are 8 of 17 converting red zone trips into touchdowns. Like, that's unheard of. And also, to go along with that, each one of those teams, 3 consecutive weeks, they have turned the ball over inside the 7-yard line of the Bears in the first half. So to speak to what Olin's talking about, like, those games could have gotten out, all of them could have gotten out of control even more so had they not found a way to take the football away in the red zone early in those contests.
All right. In terms of player of the game, I wanted to give it to Caleb, but you can't. They lost. He didn't take the time out at the end, so I gave it to David Montgomery. 21 carries, 88 yards, 3 catches for 36 yards. The ABT apt player of the game. Go to app.com. Use the promo code Kaplan25. You spend $150 or more, I'll save you $25 off their already low prices. David Montgomery, I thought, came into that game and he ran with purpose. He is excited. I saw a video of him early before the season at the schedule reveal. He goes, I'm circling those 2 games. I want Chicago. So that guy's a damn good football player. All right, and let's do our look ahead, our Illinois Tollway look ahead. San Francisco is coming in. Bears are going there on Sunday. They are as banged up as any team out there. 5-7 record, and they have no Brandon Ayuk. They have no Christian McCaffrey. They have a quarterback who, I'm not giving that guy $60 or $65 million, so he may leave. Who knows what they do with their head coach? Maybe they try to trade him and go through a rebuild. What are your guys' thoughts on the Niners in this game against the Bears?
I mean, I'm sure, I haven't looked, but I'm sure the Niners are favored, right? I mean,
by 4. It was 6. It's down to 4.
I think they're 2-4 in their last, 6 games, but their losses are to the Chiefs, Seahawks, at the Packers, at the Bills, right? So they are injured. They do have a lot of guys out. We all saw what happened to McCaffrey. That sucks. He's a great football player. They have other injuries. Bosa, I know, has been out. I don't know his status this week. Purdy hasn't been playing great, but I don't know a quarterback besides Allen who could play good in that snow. They just are still a better team. They're going to be a handful for Chicago Bears, right? Deebo Samuel is still there. They still have Kittle. They still, Shanahan does things with running backs you've never heard of. Purdy can get hot, especially at home. They got some home cooking this week. 2 cold weather teams they just lost to, the Packers and the Bills. I bet they're looking forward to this game, but they do have a lot of injuries, and hopefully the Bears can go out there and shock all of us with a brand new coaching staff.
Yeah, Trent Williams hasn't played recently either. He and his wife lost a child, so I'm not sure. I mean, there are certain things in life that are significantly more important than football, and I don't know his status, but he's a fantastic player. They had to put Jordan Mason on IR as well, so not only McCaffrey goes on the injured list, so does their backup running back. But then the kid that they brought in who runs 4.3, I forget where he's from, he's competent, and Shanny can dial up anything. There's 2 ways to look at this from my perspective. They're really injured. They're 5-7. Do they just punt and call it a season? Or do they say, we're at home. We've played some really tough teams, as Olin has described. We play in the NFC West that's still up for grabs. If we go on a run here, we still may win this division at 10-7 if we run the table. I don't think you'll see a 49ers team that lays down. I think you'll see them play hard. Whether or not they can accomplish, what I just described is up for debate because they've had so many injuries. But I would not look at this 49ers team and say, well, we're going to get a bump because we fired Eberflus, and, well, they've got so many injuries, this is going to be easy for us. I think they're well coached, and even with all the injuries, it's a talented team. So I think it'd be really competitive, but I don't think the 49ers are just going to roll over. I don't feel that way.
In terms of Purdy, Olin, would you pay that guy if you were running a franchise, or would you go, I'll pay my quarterback if he earns it? I can't give that dude $60 million a year. What would you do?
I can't say I've watched enough of Brock Purdy to make a decision on him. I probably would say no. It's just in the National Football League, Cap. I mean, everyone's looking for a quarterback. They tried to get one a couple years ago, right? Trade up to the second pick, I think, of the draft. Trade a lot of picks, and they missed on that guy. So they probably think to themselves, Lynch and Shanahan, man, are we going to do that again? Do we mortgage it again and try to get a quarterback, or do we pay this guy? I mean, we just seen the Giants pay Daniel Jones and trade him away. That position, man, it is a fascinating thing to think about, studying a quarterback, who to pay, who not to pay. I'd be lying to you if I said I studied that much Brock Purdy film to know if I pay him or not.
My first guess would be no, and I appreciate what he's been able to do for sure. But they've gone to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and now Brock Purdy. I think this is a pretty healthy confidence in that building that while Trey Lance wasn't a good selection, that they can find somebody if they have to and put him in their system and surround him with good players and find their way. I would have probably told you differently at the end of last year, but now having seen his body of work for 2 seasons, I think he's good. Do I think he's $60 million good? I don't. And my guess would be is that they wouldn't find themselves in that type of salary cap hell with him as well.
All right. The Illinois Tollway has star 999 service. Help is always at your fingertips. You have an issue, flat tire, unexpected breakdown. They're a dedicated team here to assist you anytime, anywhere, for free on the Tollway. Drive with confidence, knowing star 999 is just a dial away. Tommy, give me a pick on the game, and then we'll get Olin's keys.
I'll say 21 or 24-20 49ers.
OG?
I'm gonna be watching the new defensive coordinator. I think he's the key. Eric Washington getting that unit to play and hold teams under 20, 24 points to keep their team in the football game. I think them adjusting to everything new on that sideline, right? Badic, OC, the new head coach, handling situations. Eric Washington calling plays. I know he called a little bit in 2018, 2019 under Ron Rivera. I know he called some plays down there. So it's going to be really interesting, Cap. The key is the new coaching staff, I think, gelling together and seeing what comes of all these new guys and new pieces, and the Bears handling that and seeing if they can get this thing moving in the right direction again.
Yeah, I am, you know me, I'm as optimistic and as hopeful as anybody. I got the 49ers winning the football game somewhere around 24-17, 24-21. I think Caleb will play well, but if I'm the 49ers, I'm like, we ain't losing to that team.
Yeah, and this is their last stand. I mean, they lose this game and
then they're done.
Yeah, so
then they're done.
Get a decent effort from them.
Yeah, 100%. So it should be interesting. It should be fun. Guys, this was as much fun as I've had talking football in a very, very long time.
You want to borrow my shoulder pads at some point?
That's it. Hey, my last question. Olin, would you hire Bill Belichick if he wanted the job?
I tell you what I would do. I would interview him, and I'd like to know what he thought about everything we're doing, my young quarterback, the way we should do things, the way we run our building. If he impressed me enough, Cap, yeah. But I'd interview him and let him rip us to shreds. And I'd like to know exactly what he thinks about my football team, I think the Chicago Bears have to consider at least collecting a lot of information on what people thinking of them in that building.
Yep.
Tommy, would you?
Same answer as Olin. I'm open to anybody, but at the very least, I'm bringing in everybody, and I want their evaluation of my program. And it's going to be a massive information gathering experiment or expedition for me. But I want to know what he thinks about us, and I want him to be 100% honest. And it's going to hurt, but I would bring in everybody, and I think that's what Theo did with the Cubs, didn't he? Or that's what I think all good front offices do. They accumulate as much information as they can from people who have been there and done it.
Yeah, Theo has told me you go out and get as much intel on how someone else said, hey, Olin, can I have you come in here? Tommy, can you come in? Can you tell me how you do this? He said, oh, wow, we don't do that. We should probably get that. Yeah. But I don't know if Tanisha Wade or George or, whoever McCaskey knows to ask those questions. Stop with the goddamn committees and let your football people do their jobs.
Success leaves clues.
That's it. Guys, have a great rest of your night. That was a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and appreciate you both greatly.
Yep.
Thanks, Cap. Thanks, Tom.
Good night.
All right, see you guys.
Our Midwestern winters bring the toughest elements. Let the experts at Feldco keep your home and your family warm, safe, and comfortable this winter. Right now, get 30% off windows, siding, doors, and roofing. Plus, no interest for 1 year. With high-quality, American-made products built specifically for Midwestern weather, Feldco's got you covered. 30% off ends soon. Hurry, call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. When you're on the Tollway, peace of mind is just a call away. With the Illinois Tollway Star 999 service, help is always at your fingertips. Whether it's a flat tire or an unexpected breakdown, our dedicated team is here to assist you anytime and anywhere on the Tollway. Drive with confidence knowing that Star 999 is just a dial away. Remember, Star 999, we're always there when you need us.
I'm craving
wings. Frigidaire's range lets you air fry right in your oven. It's all the flavor, none of the guilt.
so
good.
That's using your Frigidaire.
For free in-home delivery, professional installation, and complete satisfaction, shop at Apt, pleasing people since 1936.